Hi everyone, Gianni Di Poce here with you for TheoTRADE, and today is Tuesday, August 12th, 2025, and we're seeing a nice bid come in with stocks across the board today after a lower than expected CPI report. Some of them came in at estimates, but at estimates are slightly below, and so stocks were pretty much bid out the gates, and the good news is that no one is getting fired today, but you see the S&P 500 here at the least gunning for a record closing high. In the futures market, the NASDAQ has also assumed leadership on the day and registered a new all-time high. So that is nothing short of bullish, especially because we like to see the NASDAQ outperform to the upside. The Dow also catching a smart rally, and of course the Russell 2000 having a day in of itself up about 2.5%. I did see that there is a massive short position currently in the Russell 2000. A lot of hedge funds, some smaller institutions are short up to the gills, so be prepared for a short squeeze on that front. We're seeing a nice rally play out in semiconductors, and I've been watching the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index for a while here because we haven't hit a new all-time high there. However, we have hit a new all-time high in the ETF in SMH, which is a pretty bullish sign in of itself. Because remember, chips have a tendency to lead the broader tech sector, and when technology comprises the S&P 500 in the way that it does, basically this market lives and dies by tech. But it's not just tech rallying today. We're seeing a really nice bid play out in financials. This is certainly helping to expand the market breadth, and of course, what we're seeing unfold in the cryptocurrency space. Bitcoin hasn't made a new all-time high yet, but we are seeing Ethereum's rally accelerate to the upside. This is exactly what we've been looking for. We've been calling this the trade of the second half of 2025 that's playing out as expected. And we've been making some strategic allocations and some trades into some of these Ethereum mining companies. Over in the $1 million challenge here at TheoTRADE, we did get long BMNR, Bitmine Immersion Technologies, late last week. We also have some exposure into names like SharpLink Gaming. So, I'm not really sure what's going on with Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy company, but I think he's getting a little bit too dogmatic about Bitcoin. I'm still bullish on Bitcoin, just not as bullish on Bitcoin as I am compared to Ethereum. But, the more important thing is that we're seeing good participation from a lot of tech names, Nvidia within spitting distance of a new all-time high. Apple seeing a bid after a bit of a pause on Monday, which is very important. We've been very keen on seeing a rotation into some of the more downtrodden Magnificent Seven names, names like Tesla, names like Apple. Of course, we're all living in the metaverse right now, guys. New all-time highs registered in Meta. That is bullish in of itself. But again, it's tech, it's crypto. We've been calling this the Great Tech Reset. We have a few names over in the Trinity Trade portfolio, runner positions, and stocks like Astera Labs. We already booked profits on that for 60% plus gains. So now we're just pretty much riding with the house's money. And of course, you have Palantir, which continues to defy the law of gravity, defy expectations, and hang out near the all-time high. So I still like chips, still like crypto, still like tech. It is pretty interesting to see how bonds reacted to the inflation report this morning because we have sold off since then. The dollar's been trying to stabilize. It is down against the euro, but I am looking at a scenario here where the dollar could rebound as global institutions kind of front run the rate cuts from the Fed. I mean, after today's inflation data, you're looking at pretty much a lock for the September meeting for the next rate cut. So short-term rates do appear to be coming down, but does that create dangers or risks in the longer term bond market space? That's a real scenario that we are actively monitoring. But when I look at crude oil as kind of a proxy in terms of inflation pressures, I just don't see it currently being an issue right now. Now, this could change, but we're kind of in a sweet spot still where oil companies are still making enough money to stay afloat. But that mid 50s, high 50s area, I think is a reasonable downside target to look for crude oil to potentially find a bounce. So I'm just not seeing a lot of opportunities in the energy space at the moment. The best performing sector last week believe it or not. It was a major realignment that we had across the consumer complex, meaning the best performing sector last week was consumer discretionary. The second best was consumer staples. But consumer discretionary edged out staples and did better. Now, of course, you have stocks like Amazon and Tesla that are kind of skewing this XLY ETF. But the fact that the market displayed confidence in consumer discretionary, dare I say that the consumer is actually okay? Dare I say that inflation isn't a big issue right now? Inflation is still there, but it's not accelerating to the upside. We're no longer in the world and the environment between 2020 and 2022. Now, one may think that, oh, inflation this, inflation that, lower rates could be gold, it could be good for gold and silver. Well, a bit of a rough start to the week here in gold and silver. I am looking for a higher low in gold after we hit a new all-time high on Friday, then closed down. Silver showing signs of life. GDX is up nicely. Silver miners up even more. So this is a really encouraging sign for the greater mining complex. I don't think that metals are going to be the alpha generator, so to speak. In other words, I don't think that they're going to be the asset class that drives outperformance going into year end, unlike what they did in the first quarter and parts of the second quarter. Gold's still been doing better than the S&P year to date. However, I do think that the trade is really not that complicated. It's in Ethereum, guys. It's in Ethereum. We've been talking about it. We've been long ETHA in the TheoTRADE chat room, and $1 million challenge. Talked about it in the Trinity trade as well since early April. So we're a couple bucks away from this turning into a 200% gain or three times return on the initial entry. So I don't think it's really a matter of complicating things. We want to buy the markets that are going up, the ones that are displaying the most strength, and let the market do its thing. So that's what I had for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the TheoTRADE chat room.